My Girl Life podcast is sponsored by Glamour Boutique. Glamour Boutique is the leading name in cross-dressing fashion and lifestyle with a physical location in New Jersey and, of course, their famous website. Be sure to use your My Girl Life discount code MGL15. And listen, I know they have your best interests at heart, so check them out. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Tuck and Tell on My Girl Life podcast. Don't forget to show us some love and subscribe to the channel and like the episode if you liked it. It tells us we're doing something worthwhile and allows us to keep doing it. So thanks in advance. I've got the beautiful, sexy Kelli Perry in the studio today with me, and we are going to share what we've been up to over the last few weeks. Well, at least the parts that we can tell you about. Hey, girl, how you doing?
I'm doing wonderful, and you, Maddie?
I'm doing good. I love the new do.
The new do is something
Very
that I've had
sexy,
forever.
straight hair, baby.
Yes. I'm thinking it's time to share it out.
You're bringing sexy back. I love it.
Exactly. So,
what prompted you to change the hair?
I just want to change it up a little bit. You know, the other ones are a little bit too challenging to maintain. So this one's a little bit easier to maintain and comb out and all those kind of good things. You know that. I'm not telling you something that you don't know.
I'd say it kind of, it makes you look younger.
Yeah? Well, you're my best friend then. I need all the help I can get, baby.
You like that? I knew you'd like that compliment.
I do. Exactly.
Well, we're going to talk about what we've been up to. So it's been, I know we said we try to do this every 2 weeks. I'm thinking maybe once a month because the every 2 weeks might be too much. I don't know. What do you think?
You're in control, girl. I'll do whatever you need me to do.
I love when you say that.
That's right. That's right. You know, I'm just like at your beck and call.
That's what I like. Well, I want to hear about your visit with Dana as well. So hopefully you'll include that.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a whole list of things to talk about. I got my calendar in front of me. I have to look at my calendar to remember what I did.
Right? That's what I had to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think the 4th of July, we haven't spoken since the 4th of July. So
has it been that long? My goodness, that's too long, girl.
I know. 4th of July fell on a Friday this year. And I did a pool party. It was absolutely perfect weather here in Colorado. Did a pool party with some friends at their pool, drinks and food and music and craziness. It was perfect. We acted like a bunch of junior high kids, or for the younger people, the middle school kids. And then I
went down to a place called Hampton Social.
Yeah.
And it's got a pool as well as a bar outside and gathering area, and it was really, really fun.
Is that like a hotel or what?
Yeah, well, that was no. Actually, it's like a restaurant. Okay, and they had an outside area that had outside viewing to the fireworks downtown Nashville. So it was really fulfilling. You could see the fireworks like right there, and my friend Marilyn came down as well as Craig and a few other people and Gary. Other people, and had a good time. Had some hot dogs and hamburgers and some drinks, of course. And we spent about 3 or 4 hours there, just looking at the fireworks and just chatting afterwards.
I didn't even stay up for the fireworks. No, we started the pool party at, I think, noon. And at about
that's a long day.
6 or 7 o'clock, I was toast. Yeah. I was home. I could hear him outside. I could hear him outside my house, but didn't really go to like a fireworks show, which was fine. I didn't necessarily miss that. I just had fun during the day. But if I'm drinking during the day, I'm not a great day drinker. I mean, I can drink during the day, but then I peter out early evening. I can't go daytime all the way into nighttime.
Well, I can do like one drink every couple hours during the daytime for daytime drinking. I've done some daytime drinking with some friends of mine on Broadway, and that's about all I can do. And the evening time when I kind of clip it up a little bit, but one drink, a couple drinks every couple hours, but not normal for me.
That's smart. Then you don't get too silly. And another bit of news. So obviously I've told you about telling my boys about Maddie, which was a
Yes,
huge
that's
relief.
awesome.
I told the second one, actually, ironically on Father's Day, but it went really well. And I'm more, well, I'm concerned about the initial reaction from people, but then I'm probably even more concerned about what they're thinking afterwards. And once it settles in, and the people I've told probably are not going to confront me or make me feel bad, because I've usually told people that are important to me. My other friends met me as Maddie, so there's no coming out to them. But I'm always curious, what are they thinking down the road? And then especially with my youngest, he has a live-in girlfriend. I was worried about what she thought because she has an influence. And so he said it went well, and he ended up sharing it with her. And he did say, he said she took it well, which kind of means like, I told her, I told her some bad news and she took it well. No, that's not what he meant, but it was just kind of funny. And then about 2 weeks later, I just texted the boys and said, "How you guys doing?" And they said, "Fine. How are you doing?" Which is an improvement from when they were younger, because I'd ask them how they're doing and they'd say fine, and then they wouldn't ask how I'm doing. And finally, they started to grow up and ask me. But then my youngest said, "How's Maddie doing?" And I
No
thought that was pretty cool.
way.
Yeah, that was
That
pretty
is
cool that he felt
cool.
comfortable enough to do that. So I felt really good about that. And again, that's, it was weeks after I told him. He told his girlfriend, and the fact that he referenced that tells me he's fairly comfortable with it. I'm sure he's still going, "What the hell is
And
is is dad
how old
doing?"
is your youngest?
He's 7,
Okay. Yeah, that's a good age.
and they're only a year apart. His brother's 28. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, so that was just a little thing, but it was pretty cool.
Oh, absolutely. You look back on your decision and think, you know what? That was a good decision.
Have you followed up with people that you've told that you've come out to and followed up with them later? And I know you don't have as many people that know both sides of you like I do.
Right.
Tell me more.
No,
Tell me more about that. Who knows, Kelli? Who knows boy mode and girl mode, both modes that are friends of yours?
well, there's several people in Nashville that know both modes, and they tell me, to Kelly, I don't care. You're just a nice person either way. So it
Isn't that
doesn't
great? Isn't
matter
that a
who.
great feeling?
Oh my gosh, it's just like, but it's funny. They said they prefer Kelly. You get, they prefer Kelly
Well,
because, yeah,
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 I get that too, and I'm
she
told
doesn't,
I'm
yeah, she isn't like rough around the edges like the other persona. As rough around the edges. You're a softer person. You just like enjoy people more. It seems like, no, I do as Kelly than anything.
but I've had the same thing happen. I've had people tell me that, and they tell me that I'm a little more outgoing and even a little more social, which actually I find interesting because in boy mode I'm pretty social. I think I know myself pretty well. But don't you think it has to a little bit to do with how people treat you, how people react to you in your dress versus in boy mode? It's not all us acting different and making it more fun or whatever. The other people are reacting differently to Maddie and to Kelli than to our boy modes, don't you think?
They truly do. And could not agree
And
more
that
because,
fosters the behavior that they're describing, I think.
yes, well, we present a different persona, a different energy. We really do. The energy is different. And so they know that, realize it, they sense it, and they feel it every time. I mean, that's what they've told me in the past. I went to
Right.
a singles event last Wednesday, I think it was, with one of my girlfriends. And it was a situation where all the women were like stationed at different areas of the rooftop. And
Uh-huh.
every 15 minutes, there'd be a group of guys come around and chit chat with the group, with the women and so forth and so on. And, of course, I'm kind of the loud one of the group, so to speak. And so I kind of, in some cases, I kind of dominated the conversation, but
Right.
I found myself, I got a little bit of pushback, just a little bit. So I kind of backed off a little bit and let some of the other girls just kind of
What do you
take
mean
it.
pushback? Pushback from who and how?
Well, you just kind of feel, with women's intuition, you can feel it, and you can see it in people's eyes, especially the
Yeah.
guys' eyes. They didn't know what to think,
Well,
They
you need
didn't.
to read the room. I think you're good at reading the room, right? So,
Yes, yes. I'm not going to push myself on somebody that obviously doesn't want to partake, so to speak.
right.
But
They
I
may be
kind of,
nice and cordial, but
yes,
doesn't mean they
yes,
want to,
yes,
you know,
exactly.
interact too much. Well, and
Right.
you're probably initiating more than the people you're hanging out with. You're probably initiating social interactions even more than they are, I would imagine.
And me, I love doing that. I mean, that's just I think it's my DNA. And, people can either accept me or reject me. It doesn't matter. I mean, I know who I am and who I represent.
Right.
And so they can either, Bishop
But
and Bishop.
do you do that on boy mode? Are you bringing, like, going up and introducing yourself to new people or bringing them into the conversation, or?
I haven't been out in boy mode in that venue in like 2 years.
Okay.
Girl, I'm serious. It's all been Kelly. I had more fun as Kelly, and Kelly is, I think it's more fun with the group. I've
Do you
tried.
think Kelly's a big departure from boy mode
I think Kelly's a big departure from boy mode.
in terms of socially?
Clearly, I can relate to people better. I can follow up with people better. And I know that, people
Why do you
tend to
think that is?
open up to me.
Because you can follow up with people good in boy mode. Why do you think that is? Why do you think you follow up with people and
I
interact
think
better?
it's just more of an openness, a softness that people sense and feel that we have as women. And I think it's just a function of going to that next level of making them feel comfortable talking to us. I mean, my goodness, I've had women share with me things that the other side would never hear. Never.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, because they feel comfortable with sharing feelings and so forth with, a fellow girlfriend.
Well, their wall is down because most women they're weary of a guy hitting on them if they're too nice, right? It's like maybe they want to be nice, but if they're too nice, guys, if they're too nice, we're thinking, oh my God, they like us. They want us.
And, there's a lot of that feeling out there with women, that, if they come on too strong, all of a sudden, oh my God, what am I supposed to do? So they're put in an unusual and awkward position, and they don't need to do that. So.
Right. Well, I think it's not just us changing a little bit or maybe even a lot when we dress. I think it's the other people change too. And the only way we can really see that is the people that know us in both modes. And I know for a fact people are different to me when I'm Maddie. And of course I'm different, but people are different to me than they are in boy mode. The boy mode thing's fine and I have a good time, but it's also how they treat us, whether it's a girl on girl because the girls are more comfortable because we're not a guy, or it's just our friends. Most of my good friends, the ones I've met as Maddie, but know me in both modes, they'll call me Maddie even in boy mode.
Oh, wow. No
On my text
kidding.
messages, they'll go Maddie. One that you've met, one of the girls, she'll refer to me more as Jim than the other. But yeah, most of my friends will say Maddie or Jamaddy, which is the combination that her daughters gave me is Jamaddy. Just kind of blends both names
And you
in.
don't mind either one.
I don't mind either one. No, I don't care.
Okay.
No,
Cool.
yeah, it's so natural to me now when they do it. I mean, I'm aware of it, but it doesn't bother me at all. And most of the time, I don't even hardly notice it. So it's nice. Let's see. What I've also been up to is I've done a lot of interviews since we spoke. And I think I had interviewed Heidi's wife when we spoke last time.
Oh, just her only?
No, with both of them.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you saw that twice or just once?
No, just once. So I did
Okay.
that, and that went over amazingly. Lots of great feedback. I know there's lots of wives out there and cross-dressers that wanted to hear from a wife, and she was very candid and very open and very vulnerable and courageous, and so was Heidi for doing that, sitting right next to her. And what was compelling is, when I asked a few tough questions, Like, did you ever think was there ever a time when you thought, I can't do this? Or did you ever question his sexuality? And the look on Heidi was dressed. Heidi's face watching Nikki answer the question was priceless, because I don't know that they've had that direct
I was going to say
question.
maybe that's new information for Heidi. You
I think it is. Now, they've had a lot of conversations and they have a good relationship. Right. I'm not sure Heidi has ever asked, was there ever a time you thought you couldn't do this, or did you question my sexuality? I'm guessing because of the look on Heidi's face, and she answered, she said, I did not question her sexuality. And there were some times where she was struggling with it, and she was very honest. Anyway, it was really neat to see Heidi next to her as she was answering the questions. So I followed up on that, and I've interviewed a dresser named Olive and her wife. And I always want to ask what the wife's name was. And she said, well, she goes by Daddy. And I'm like, okay, so you want me to refer to her as Daddy on the podcast? And she said, yes. And it got kind of very, very spicy.
Unusual. Yeah.
Yeah. But she's a little firecracker. And, God, I'm drawing a blank on where she's from.
So she referred to herself as Daddy, or the other wife?
No, the wife refers to herself as Daddy.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And I'm going into it thinking, because I didn't know Olive that well. I just know her from Facebook, and she does some really cool videos, and she's very, she's outgoing on her social media, and her wife is always usually with her in the pictures and the videos. So I'm assuming that Olive was dressing and then had to tell his wife that I dress. Well, it was a complete opposite. The wife got Olive into dressing because she likes the role play.
I know a couple like that. Absolutely. Yeah.
Which is totally cool. It just caught me by surprise because I'm so used to, it was probably the guy dressing and he had to come out to his wife and tell his wife. And no, she's the one that prompted it. And she was more the dominant in the relationship. And I don't know how tall she is, but she's a tiny little thing. She's cute as a button, very outgoing. She's a little firecracker. You'll have to catch that interview. But I just thought that was interesting. And she talked about their role playing. And again, she was very candid and very open and honest. And it was really refreshing. And I think a lot of people appreciated that one.
But a lot of marriages need to go to another level to achieve the fulfillment that they've had in the past. And so I think it's a search for that fulfillment.
Well, that's if they do that. I think a lot of people don't do it, and they just kind of float into nebulous land.
Well, they put apart.
Grow apart. Yeah. Exactly. So whatever it takes, whatever floats your boat, to add some excitement into the relationship, I think is a good thing. And just being open with the other person and not having secrets is a big thing. I popped my interview cherry, and I got interviewed by Steffi, who's was the bartender at that bar I used to go to every Friday. They closed down, but I'm still friends with that whole group. But that was kind of my cheers, and I would go there every Friday, and everybody knows you, and she's fantastic. And it was about 3 trips into the bar, and then I got to know everybody a little bit better. And she came up to me and she goes, I have to tell you, I've been dying to tell you, but I didn't know exactly when. She said, I have a Maddie in my life, and her biological father has transitioned and is named Maddie. I thought that was...
My goodness.
What a coincidence, right?
Oh, how surreal is that, right?
Yeah. So we had an instant connection there. And so for a long time, she's like, you need to be interviewed. When are you going to have somebody interview you? And finally I said, why don't you interview me? And so we did that a few weeks ago. I released that one. And she asked me some really good questions, and it brought up some things that I hadn't necessarily thought through, and things about the community, because she's a big supporter. She's not in LGBTQ, but she supports LGBTQ because of her biological father.
Sure, of course.
And so we got into that discussion. And I think it's interesting how the general population is relating to the LGBT community. And those are some of the bridges that I want to build, even if it's one person at a time, because other than the ones that and have no interest, there's a lot of people that do have interest. They just don't know how to talk to us. They don't know the language and the pronouns, and they're afraid to say the wrong thing. And it doesn't take much to just kind of make them feel comfortable. Have you had many conversations with people in the general population? You know, they're not dressers or they're not in the LGBT community.
Well, it's funny you should say that because one of my girlfriends that I see probably about once every 2 or 3 weeks at a meetup, her daughter is transitioning to a male. And she shared this out of confidence. And of course, I'm not going to mention your name, but she seems like she is coping with that whole situation. And that's not easy. That is not easy. You know, and she went through divorce and so forth and so on. But yeah, for the most part, it's moving along. And we have talked a few times about it. And
what kind of questions does she ask you?
I give her advice or maybe my thinking of what I'm thinking, what I think about it. And so, I think she's just looking for validation on how she's thinking over and over again. So we'll see.
What kind of questions did she have?
Well, we were a bootlegger, so I couldn't really hear a lot of the questions. I had to ask her to repeat them. But she asked, you know, how should she handle this? I mean,
how should she interact?
Going through the divorce, and now she's got this other challenge about her daughter transitioning over to a male. And I told her, honey, just give her some space. Give her some space. Be there for your support. She's looking for you for support factor. Love her to death. And all you can do is just do those things. And in the end, it'll all pay off. It'll all pay off.
I think a lot of times they're as much worried about how society is going to react to them. They may be fine with it, but they're worried about how society is going to treat their child. You know, if my kids came out or they were dressing or whatever, obviously I would support them. You know, part of you doesn't wish it upon them, wish upon somebody to be gay because it's a tougher life. But if they are, then great. And you want to embrace that. But if there's any, not hesitation, but if there's any worry, it's really how society is going to treat them, which is a valid thing to worry about, especially nowadays.
It's valid because it could mushroom into something serious. But I told her, I said, you know, all you got to do is just like support her and love her the way you have ever since she was little. And she's a big girl now. She's determining her way to go. And all you can do is just be there for her, hold her hand if needed, and whatever it takes for her to know that you support her 100%.
I wonder what I know it's not as popular or as many times the transitioning from a woman to a male versus a male to a female. I wonder what those percentages are.
Yeah, I wouldn't know. I mean, I know they're much smaller, of course.
Yeah.
But
and I wonder why that is.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a really good question.
I'm going to have to, maybe I'll do a little blog article, maybe a little episode on that.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll investigate that. That's kind of an interesting one. I also interviewed, Cammie Richardson.
Oh, yeah. Cammie, yeah. Uh-huh. She's from Vegas.
Interviewed, in Utah.
Utah, okay.
They live in Utah. I interviewed Cammie and her wife, Terry. Now, Cammie has fully transitioned. So at first, I think Terry was a little hesitant, and at first they passed. And
they
then
passed the interview?
Didn't really feel comfortable. Cammie's wife. And I had some questions in there that I had asked Heidi's wife. And so I took a few out. I wasn't quite as direct. But then she ended up saying she wanted to do it. And we had a really nice interview. She was very honest. She wasn't as outgoing as Nikki, but she did share some very insightful things. And there was a really interesting story about the mother-in-law. So Terry, Cammie's wife's mother and dad are part of the story. And so Cammie, when she was in boy mode, had a great relationship with Terry's parents, especially the dad. Then when Cammie came out and transitioned, the dad turned on her, and didn't want to have anything to do with her. And it was really hard on Cammie. And because of that, Terry's mother, Cammie's mother-in-law, also was kind of standoffish and not approving. And it even caused Terry to not visit as much. They live in Florida. And really sad situation for Cammie and tough for both of them. And Terry's dad passed away, and he passed away, not approving of Cammie. Well, her mother, Cammie's mother-in-law, on her deathbed, talked to Cammie on the phone and apologized to her and said, "I love you," and completely did a 180, and again apologized and said how she really felt. I think they didn't say this, but I'm thinking her feelings, the way, for the past years, were more of her husband's, Cammie's father-in-law. And since he was gone and she knew she was at the end, she wanted Cammie to know how she felt. And Cammie choked up telling the story. It's really an amazing story. And she gave Cammie a gift, because now Cammie can feel differently about the situation, about Terry's mom before she passed away. Really cool moment. And I really appreciate them sharing.
That is a great story. My goodness, she should share that in a blog or something, because that is very inspirational.
Yeah. It just goes to show you that, some people,
Never too late. Yeah.
It's never too late. And some people form their opinion based on somebody else because they don't want to go against that person, but it's not necessarily their feeling. I also shared, I have a similar situation. It wasn't that my mom didn't approve of Maddie. She did, and we talked every week. I showed her pictures and she asked what I did for the week. And my mom was in her late 80s at the time. And I was the third child, and my brother's 8 years older. My sister's 14 years older. I always told my mom, I know I was a mistake, but hey, I'm here. Who cares? She goes, no, honey, you weren't a mistake. We prayed for you, and we did a Nirvana, or I don't know what it's called. It's a Catholic where they sit around, they light candles and pray that the woman gets pregnant. She goes, we wanted you so bad. And so she would always tell me that. And she would always say, honey, I'm glad we had you. So these are literally my mom's last coherent words before she went into hospice. And my sister and I were visiting her in the hospital, and we said our goodbyes, and we started to walk out. My mom grabbed my hand and pulled me back in, and my sister went ahead and went out of the room. She pulled me back in and she said, honey, I'm so glad we had you, and I love Maddie.
Aww.
And those were the last coherent words my mom said to me. And she was on her deathbed, and she knew enough to let me know how she knew how important that would be to me. I've told the story 1,000 times and I'll never forget it my whole life. Just a nice gift before somebody parts. I mean, I knew she supported Maddie, but to say that at that time was very meaningful.
Well, touching and meaningful, and it just kind of validates, Maddie.
Yeah.
It validates Maddie. Yeah.
I mean, that's your mother. That's my mother.
Yes, it's huge.
And my dad lived in another state. He was remarried, and I was close to him, but I didn't see him on a daily basis. He was even older than my mom, and he was remarried, and he didn't need to know about it. If I don't see somebody, I talk to him every so often. Didn't have really a need to tell them about Maddie. But when I visit with somebody on a regular basis, a friend or a relative, and they don't know about Maddie, I feel like I'm lying to them. Have you ever felt that, or people that don't know about Kelli, like, do you ever feel like that?
Yeah, it's just what you're kind of out of your comfort zone when you're the other side, and you want to tell these people so badly, but you just hold off for whatever reason. In your mind, it's probably the worst. It's worse in your mind than it really is.
Right.
And so we just kind of hold off for whatever reason. So,
is there anybody that you really want to tell, but you haven't gotten up the courage?
And it changes from week to week, it seems like.
Oh, that did with my kids. I was ready to tell them, and I'm like, oh, they don't need it. No, I'm not going to do it.
Right. Well, I psych myself up to tell somebody, and then they do something that violates my trust to them. So I'm thinking,
Or something that spooks you.
maybe I shouldn't share this just yet, but maybe I'll save that for the future. They need to prove themselves again for a while.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Or there's something going on like with my oldest son. Before I told him, I was all prepared to tell him we were going to meet for breakfast. I picked out the pictures I was going to show him. I went over what I was going to say in my head. I'd built up, the courage, and he was having some issues with his roommate. His roommate's moving out. He was going to have to find a place, and then he was going to go right from breakfast to his mom's to look for an apartment. And that's the only person on earth I really don't want to know about Maddie, because she'll weaponize it. Not that it matters. We don't really have anything to do with each other anymore, but I don't want her in their head. But I'm like, I'm not going to tell him now. He's got this trouble on his plate. He's worried about that. He's going to go right to his mom. So I chickened out. And another year went by before I told him. So
yeah,
I know what you mean.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I think if I shared this information, I don't think I would show them pictures right at the very beginning. Maybe in the future.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think
You're
I would
not worried about if you tell somebody I dress like a woman, and they're going to picture you. They're going to picture you in boy mode. They're going to picture you in a dress. They're not going to picture this. I don't think they're going to picture some stuff. I don't think they're going to picture a very nice thing. And so I want to show them a picture because I'm proud. I'm like, this is what
well, that's a good point. I didn't think about that.
I don't want them to imagine Jim in a dress, a skirt, and heels, and bad makeup, and so that's interesting that you're not concerned about that. Especially as great as you look, I would think you'd want to say, "Hey, this is I dress, and this is me."
I would offer it. I wouldn't say, "Look, this is me." That thing, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I would offer it. If they want to see it, fine. If they don't, that's fine too. It's up to them.
Interesting.
And that's true with anybody that knows my boy self and doesn't know Kelli. So I'm ready to share. I mean, if they ask me.
Interesting. I guess I'm just paranoid about them picturing Jim in a dress and a wig and just looking like a dude in a wig.
Well, they've seen it on the news, so that's the first thing that they picture.
Or they've seen somebody out in public who's looks like a guy who put a skirt on and a wig. I don't know how many really well put together cross-dressers they've seen. And if they've seen some really good ones, maybe they didn't even notice. Who knows?
Well, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, the good ones you don't notice.
Yeah, because they're not interacting with them. They might see them from afar. Right. Well, this is the last interview I've done since we spoke. Interviewed my best friend from college, which was really a big deal for me. He has never met Maddie in person. He's known about Maddie for years, and he's seen pictures. And we've had lots of conversations. He asked really good questions over the years about the community and pronouns and trans women in sports. And, he's trying, he's in the general population, and he hears things, and then he's processing them on his own. And then he's weighing that against, now, I have a friend here now that I care about, and I want to know what is he thinking? What is she thinking about some of these things? And so it was really interesting. I was super nervous because we have such a interesting relationship. We have this banter relationship, and it's based in humor, and we have our inside jokes. And I didn't really think I could go there as Maddie, although we went there a little bit. But as we got going, I think we both settled down, and we did have a few inside jokes and some stories. One interesting story, talk about acting differently as Maddie and Kelli versus our boy mode. Brian used to, in college, he did most of the cooking. He's a good cook. And he would make the shrimp on a barbecue, and he had kind of this recipe, and I loved it. It was one of my favorites. And so out of the blue, a few years ago, he just texted me a picture of the shrimp on the barbecue. And I knew what he was doing. And I just texted back, yummy, and never thought anything about it. And then it probably was a year later. And he goes, when you texted me back, yummy, were you Maddie or were you Jim? And I had to think, I'm like, oh, I was Maddie. And he goes, that's what I thought, because I would never use the word yummy when replying back.
No way. Even your vocabulary changed.
Not
right?
entirely, but there are certain things. I'm not as boisterous. Yeah, I wouldn't be like, oh my God, tell me more about it. You know what I'm talking about. And I would not say yummy. I'd say that looks great or whatever. But he that one stuck out to him right away. He noticed it.
That's interesting, because I've used that many times, when I responded to my daughter-in-law and sister, and both my daughter-in-law and the sister and all that stuff. I'm wondering what they think. It doesn't matter. I don't care.
Well, would you have done that before? Like, was that natural in boy mode or not?
Yeah, it is. Yes. Okay. They probably don't think anything of it.
No. Like you said, we're more worried about stuff than the other people are.
Right.
Well, it was a great interview, and we did talk about. He asked a question about trans women in sports, and we've talked about that. And I don't know if you and I have talked about it, but I probably will catch some flack on this one. But until they can somehow determine that somebody is, physically, muscular, skeleton, the whole thing equal to women. And again, not all women are equal, but I just don't know that they'll ever be able to do that. And I know it's tough. I know they want to compete, especially the younger ones. They just want to play soccer. They just want to play on the volleyball team, whatever. But, there's a lot of things I wanted to do, but I wasn't physically able to do them. I wanted to play football in high school. I just wasn't physically, I would have gotten killed. I ended up playing tennis. And, when I was a little kid, I dreamed of being a professional football player. Well, it wasn't in my DNA. So life, not everything in life can be fair. It just isn't. But it can be unfair when somebody is just physically way above their competition.
Yeah, the physiology in and of itself, it just doesn't lend itself to competing with females.
And I think by pushing that, it makes our cause, the cause, even harder, because that's not a popular position that trans women compete in women's sports. People, yeah.
And they don't like that. I don't blame them. My goodness, just physiologically speaking,
right.
It just, there's no equal.
But what was interesting was my friend's question was, what are they getting out of it? When you compete, you're competing for a lot of different reasons. Some people compete to win the trophy. They don't care how they win the trophy. They just want the damn trophy. But I think most people are competing for multiple reasons. One is, they want the awards and the recognition, but they're doing it for themselves too, for pride, for self-achievement. And, if I went out and played somebody that just started playing tennis a few months ago and I beat him 6-1 or 6-0, I'm not going to feel that good about that, especially if it was a competition and I won a trophy. Like it wouldn't be that valuable. I thought it was a very interesting question. What are they getting out of it?
Yeah, what kind of satisfaction are they getting out of it? I mean, a lot of times they compete because they can't compete on the other side.
Well, they've
got
true.
this burning desire to win something that,
or just to compete. Period.
Yeah,
good point.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, you make a good point about, well, if they're transitioning or transitioned, then it's awkward at best to compete in the boys stuff. I haven't really heard much about trans women competing against boys and them being against it. Have you heard anything about that? I've never even really.
It hasn't really made the news, so to speak.
No.
No, it's just like there may be some instances out there, but it's just not.
Right. But that would be awkward. And I don't even know if it could happen. I don't even know if it's legal in terms of the sports law. I don't know, but it's a tough position for the trans women, especially the younger ones who just want to play with their friends. They just want to compete. Sure. And they're not necessarily trying to win the Olympics or anything. But on the other hand, life is not always fair, and we can't always do just anything we want to do. And so I just thought it's interesting. Very controversial topic, but I think it hasn't helped our community, and it didn't help in the election and all that stuff. The pronouns, I mean, some of the stuff is just, I feel like the general population feels like, right or wrong, and to whatever degrees, feels like it's being shoved down their throat. I personally don't think it's being shoved down their throat, but if that's how they feel, then that's how they feel when they go into the voting booth, then that becomes our reality, right?
Exactly right. What do they call that? The court of public opinion.
Right.
Exactly what it is.
So it's a give and take, and I think the community pushed pretty far from where it's been. And you can't watch a movie or a TV show without a gay person or a trans person or somebody in it. Not literally every show, but it's good that we can see people that look like us in TV shows. I always heard about people of color saying, well, I never saw anybody that looked like me in a superhero movie or as a leader of the government or whatever. And I understood what they were saying, but I didn't really get it down deep. And now I do. When I see a cross-dresser or a trans person in a movie or a TV show, I really like that. I see somebody that looks and acts like me, up on the screen. And now I know how they feel.
Yeah, I zero in on those, on our brothers and sisters as well. I have empathy for them, and I have admiration for them too, because they're courageous enough to do this on the big screen.
Yeah. Oh, they're really stepping out. Absolutely. Subject change. I wanted to kind of share what's going on with my song, Be Bold, Be Kind, Be You. I put it out to the community, and I got amazing feedback from the community. And then Jacqueline, our friend Jacqueline, took the song and played it for, she's in Palm Springs, and she's on the board of the Chamber of Commerce, and she helps out with Pride. She's on everything. She's very
everywhere.
plugged in.
I love that girl.
Yeah.
I miss
she's
her,
very
but
plugged
she's doing
in.
some good things in Palm Springs. She really is.
Exactly. So she played the song for the mayor of Palm Springs, who's also the CEO of Palm Springs Pride, which they have their Pride in November because of the heat. And he flipped out. He loved it. And so they're talking about using it as their theme for Palm Springs
for Pride. That's really cool.
And putting it to the community video and having it their theme. And
so did you have it made, or did you find it somewhere?
Well, I wrote it. And then I had it produced. And,
you had it produced. Okay.
My phrase at the end of my podcast, well, when I put my website up a year and a half ago, my motto was be bold, be kind, be you. And then I started saying that at the end of my podcasts. And then I thought, why don't I write a song about that? And I'm a bit of songwriter, professional songwriter, and I've written a couple songs in the last few years, but not as much as I used to. And this one just flowed out. And the words, because I've been in the community and I live and breathe it with everybody, that just kind of fit naturally too. So then I got it produced and sent it to Jacqueline, and she shared it. So keeping my fingers crossed, they have a meeting this weekend. Hopefully they have the agreement in front of them. Hopefully they'll make a decision. But in addition to that, she also played it for her friend who's a DJ at the big radio station in Palm Springs, K-Gay, K-G-A-Y. And he loved it. And he wants to do a dance remix of it and play it on the radio and do an interview. And so I just,
oh my
I
God,
just did
you're on your way, woman. You are on your way.
It was such an honor and so exciting. And we just did the agreement today for him to do a remix. And I'm really excited his name is DJ Galaxy, and he'll play it at Pride. Cause he DJs and, with the big crowds or whatever, but he'll do a dance, kind of a club dance version of it. So I found a way now to produce my old songs that I wrote a long time ago, and I have demos of them so I can play it for people, but they're dated. They were done years and years ago. So I updated them all with more modern production. And so now I'm all excited about my songs again and trying to place them in film and TV and hopefully get them covered by an artist.
Oh, that would
Somebody
be
like
would not. Wow.
Lady Gaga or Pink could record Be Bold, Be Kind to You.
Yes.
Who knows?
You would like not be my friend anymore. You're too high and mighty.
Kelly who? Kelly who? Never.
I know you wouldn't do that.
Well, I get a huge amount of satisfaction by getting the songs produced and listening to them. There's a level of achievement there. And then if somebody wants to use it like at Pride or play it on the radio or,
my lifelong TGR theme song.
There you go. Well, we can play it at TGR.
Yeah, absolutely.
And karaoke night at the bar. We'll play the dance version, get everybody dancing, and absolutely.
Wednesday night. Absolutely, yeah.
I'd be more than happy to have TGR use that as a theme. So fun stuff. What else you been up to, and what do you got going on this weekend?
Well, the meetup group continues to expand here. I'm up to 600 women, and we just have events. Yeah, it's a crazy, girl.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious. It started out with 200. This was like 8 months ago.
And how many show up to each gathering?
I put out an event, and literally, like, if the event had like 20 people, like a brunch, these restaurants around here, they can only take so many people, right?
Yeah.
So literally, it fills up in a matter of 3 hours. It's just crazy.
When you say fill up, what does that mean?
People,
you reached a certain amount of people?
Yeah. With the brunches, I can only do like 15 to 20. But with the rooftop bars, the happy hours, I've had upwards of 60 women there. It's just really cool. And I love people.
You are amazing.
Together. I love getting people together,
you have a gift.
Phone numbers and so forth. And of course, I greet all the new people that are brand new. And I just love putting people together. I have one girl calling me, Kelly, you're the connector. You connect people.
Absolutely.
I'm thinking about that, and she's absolutely right. I love doing it. So that's going very well. TGR is going very well.
Were you a connector in boy mode like that?
Oh, no, not at all. No. So it just kicked into another gear when Kelly kicks in, right? So
I know exactly how you feel.
Going well, and matter of fact, we hit 600 today. I literally have 1 to 4 requests to join every single day. Because you know why? Because, I have events scheduled 4 and 5 weeks in advance. People want to go to things. And so the women want to go to things. And so what happens is, they join and they try to get in when I open up an event. Sometimes they can, sometimes they cannot. I tell them, contact me directly just a day or two before the event to see if there's room, if there's some cancellations and so forth. And 8 times out of 10, there'll be cancellation. They can come on.
How do you advertise it? What is it? What's the name of the group, and why do you think people are so enticed? Is it because they see other people, or they see the description? What's the description of the group?
There are a lot of Nashville party girls in this town. There really are. And there are not many that I can see. There are not many specifically women's group here. There's a couple of them actually that I've joined, but they're not as active as mine. And
more of a boys town?
Active enough to people can come and go. And I've got so many repeat girls that come to these things. And they walk in, and the new ones walk in, and I go up and greet them and so forth. And my goal is everybody gets a survey after each event. And my goal is to make sure they check welcoming host. That's my goal. If they check welcoming host, then my job has been completed. I love it. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Good for you. Doesn't surprise me at all.
And I didn't, when I went to my first one, I had no clue. Did I tell you that story about how I kind of fell into that?
No.
I went to the group. There was another coordinator at the beginning. And so I went to the group, and there were like 12 girls that were scheduled to show up, 4 show up. And my friend Heather, who was coordinating the group, said, Kelly, I'm done with it. I'm so upset that, people RSVP and they don't show up. And meanwhile, people on the waiting list don't have a chance to come to the event because it's full.
Right.
So I said, girl, just let me have it. I'll take it. So I just built it from there and started holding people accountable for whether or not show up. And I've had nothing but positive comments about the way I run the deal. So it's been a real successful venture for me, and I don't get paid. My payment is having the girls come and enjoy
Right.
the day. That's my
Well,
payment.
part of it, you wanted to build a group and have some friends to go out with,
And
but
that's exactly what's happened.
and so it's self-fulfilling for that. But you also like just again like putting people together.
Yes. Yes.
Is fulfilling for you.
It is. It is. It's one of those avenues of I call it an avenue of success that I'm enjoying at this point in my life. So it's all good
for you, girl.
Yeah.
Well, before we go, I wanted to mention a topic. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's called imposter syndrome. Have you ever heard of imposter syndrome?
I don't think so. Explain that for me.
Well, it's when somebody feels like I'm not going to use all the exact right terms, but somebody feels like a fake or an imposter. Movie stars will feel this sometimes because the public gives them admiration and attention for being somebody that they're really not. And obviously some actors are probably more like their characters than others. Some it's completely far away, right? But they're getting praise and attention and seen as their character, not themselves. And so they start to feel like an imposter, especially when they have to go out as not that character. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, so
It's kind of like being Superman on the big screen, and then I'm going, the actor's going out and he's just a regular guy. That's an exaggeration. Let me read this to you. Studies suggest that up to 70% of people experience this syndrome at some point in their lives. And ironically, it tends to be high achievers. It hits high achievers the hardest. The more you accomplish, the more pressure you might feel to maintain that image, and the more fear you have of being exposed as a fraud. So I was trying to relate that to our dressing. And for many cross-dressers, there's, sometimes there's a sense of doubt. Am I valid? Do I have the right to express myself this way? I think you and I are beyond that. But, am I just pretending? I don't know if you've ever had some of those thoughts where, people that only know Kelly, and then they may be texting you or calling you or whatever, and you're sitting there as a guy in your boxer shorts or whatever, and they're thinking you're Kelly, and you just sometimes feel a little fakeish. You ever feel like that?
Well, I know that. Okay, so I have, and in my mind, I have to retool my responses. I can't come off as not Kelly in my response. It's amazing how I can shift gears like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how I handle it. I mean, they know me as Kelly from day one. Every Nashville Ladies Social Group person known me as Kelly, and people talk about me like Kelly.
But do you ever sit around or wander around in boy mode and wonder, all these people are thinking there's a Kelly out there who's full time. I mean, there's just a Kelly. There's no other side to Kelly, but there really is another side. In fact, it's probably the majority side. You're in boy mode more than you're in girl mode. Have you ever felt like a little bit of a fake, or you're not being the real thing? Even if it's for a moment.
Yeah. There have been fleeting moments where I've thought about that. Absolutely. I think it occurred with a lot of us. And so how do we handle that? We just kind of get through it by making sure they know who they're talking to. If they know one person. and that's Kelli
Right.
or Maddie. And they know how Kelli would react, and they know how, or Maddie would react to certain situations.
Well, sometimes another thing that it mentions is in our community, some people feeling like they're not trans enough or they're not queer enough. I definitely have the I'm not queer enough because I'm not queer, but the not trans enough, compared to the full timers or people that have fully transitioned, and you're being treated in this as the same way as them by people who don't really know the difference. They don't really care, but I haven't gone through what Jacqueline's gone through, or Cammie's gone through. And so sometimes I feel like, am I trans enough, or am I enough in the LGBT community to be in the LGBT community, if that makes sense.
We're on the spectrum. That's all I care about.
Yeah, that's good.
I express myself the way I want to express myself. And because I know I'm on the spectrum somewhere, whether it's here, doesn't matter. I know what feels good for me. Right. And I know how I express myself is acceptable in society, at least in this area. The least I thought would be accepted, right?
Right.
Yeah. So if I can get accepted here, and I can do anywhere, but that just tells me that the way I express myself around here to the women that I've befriended over the last 3 years is acceptable, and it works. It's working for me. And I don't try to be thinking about, am I trans enough or blah blah blah. That doesn't even to me does not even enter my mind.
Well, that's a good thing.
That I'm a friend to these people. They confide in me, and you know what? That's the best situation to be in, I think.
Yeah, sometimes you can think too hard.
Yeah, overthink it. You can overthink things.
Yeah, I think that's normal. Sometimes I'll even kind of laugh at myself and go, "What are you doing?" When I'm in a silly situation because of Maddie, I'm like, "What are you doing?"
Right.
But 2 seconds later, you're like, "This is part of me. This is a core. This is I have to do it, not I want to do it." It's both, actually. It's both, actually. But yeah, I thought it was an interesting thing to take. I had heard about imposter syndrome from like actors and so forth, people who portray like Pee Wee Herman. I watched a documentary. He created this character, and at times he felt like the whole world, wants Pee Wee, and he's not really Pee Wee down deep. And so he had imposter syndrome, that kind of thing. Yeah. And I think you and I have gotten to a place where we can feel really comfortable. We get almost all positive feedback and energy from the people we're around, but not all of our friends get that. Not all of our fellow sisters get that kind of treatment and love.
Well,
that's when the fear and the doubt kick in.
Yeah. You and I are confident in the way we look, and that confidence breeds courage.
Yeah.
To go out and, try to insert yourself in situations that, you'll enjoy. But as a byproduct, you make friends. You make friends every time. Oh my God, I can't tell you how many new friends that I've made just by venturing out, with some of my girlfriends or even solo,
But you wouldn't be able to do that if you didn't have the confidence from previous experiences. If you went out and each time you went out, you had kind of a bad experience and couldn't really meet anybody, you would start to curl up, coil up, and it would go the opposite way. So you keep doing what you're doing. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, please keep doing what you're doing, because what you're doing is making some monumental strides in the community. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. I don't know about that, but I do. I know it's contributing to the community, and I love doing it. You and I started having a conversation before I started recording. I'm like, wait a minute, I want to record this because you and I love to have these conversations, and you can't really have them at TGR or Wildside or, when we were in Nashville, other than being at your house, and we can have conversations there. But, when we were out with everybody, you have little mini conversations.
Yeah, it's just literally impossible.
Right?
Yeah.
And Nikki, Heidi's wife was there, Nikki, and said hi to her and said probably 5 to 10 words to her. And, there was music and craziness going on. So yeah, I would have loved to have had a conversation with her, but I got to do it through the podcast. So it's fulfilling for me,
That
regardless
is really
of
cool. Yeah. Very cool.
the reactions of people, but I am getting good reactions. So that's good. Well, let's wrap it up so you can go be Miss Connector. I'm going to go have some cocktails at my favorite bar and
Are you?
see my
Okay.
friends. Yeah. So, so we'll
Hello,
have a
them.
good time. I will tell them you said hi.
Okay.
And so wrap up. I think you and I can talk about when we're going to do our next episode, whether it's going to be, in a few weeks or whatever. I think the 2 weeks might be a little too much. What do you think?
Yeah, we could do maybe once a month or something, maybe.
And if it turns out to be 3 weeks because of our schedule,
Yeah.
if it was going to be 5 weeks, then maybe we do the 3 weeks because we're both busy, whatever. But I think it'll be good.
Perfect.
Well, that wraps it up for today. Appreciate everybody listening.
Is that a new top? I like that top.
No, I don't wear it that often, but I like the color, the plum.
I like the color. Color just is my color.
I like my baby.
That's right.
You got me hooked.
I did. I still have that top too.
You let me borrow your baby. It was black.
Right.
But, oh my God, I love that top.
It's a perfect top.
You still have it?
I do.
Nice. All right. Well, that does it for today. Remember, everybody, be bold, be kind, be you.